Hello, welcome to Dee's Media World, and now we're on to episode 3 of my Inuyasha review series, Down the Rabbit Hole and Back Again. Once again, the video for the episode is actually in the description box, so if you want to watch that first before watching this, you have all the rights in the world. Okay, so this episode begins with Kagome bathing, and then we have another recap. This is our third recap of everything that's happened since the first episode. She fell through the well. She met Inuyasha, basically freed her from the tree. Then it's a recap of what happened in the last episode, which was that she basically she shattered the jewel. And in this episode, uh, they are told by Kaede in a flashback that together they have to work together to get all the shards back for the jewel, because there could be 1,000, 100,000, probably more like a couple thousand shards out in feudal Japan. Um, After that recap, because Kagome's like swimming and she feels all dirty and stuff and takes a bath, and she basically complains about how they don't have the same bathing techniques than they do in the current era, obviously. um she sees she sees Inuyasha staring at her, and he's just staring at her, and he again forgets that she can sit him, and basically he really was just trying to get the shard, so he says, or so well Kaede says, and that's true. He's trying to steal the shard. He's one of those evil good doers, he says, evil no gooders, whatever, who's still trying to get the jewel shards. Um, let's see. Kagome puts on a I guess a priestess kind of outfit that Kaede has, and that reminds Inuyasha of Kikyo. Actually, she does kind of look like Kikyo. They look similar enough, not so similar that you get the two confused, but they do look similar enough that it would be kind of like, oh, she really does look like Kikyo, and that makes Inuyasha obviously makes Inuyasha uncomfortable. Kaede gets called by one of the villager women saying that there's something going on with her daughter. But before we even get to that part, Inuyasha and Kagome kind of have another fight. Inuyasha's like, get undressed. And she's like, she took that the wrong way. Obviously, the way he said it. And it really was just because he couldn't stand seeing Kagome in Kikyo's clothing or Kikyo's similar clothing or whatever. Um, she decides to leave, and this is like what their third argument of many arguments they will have in the series. And so she decides to go home and tries to figure out how to go home. And we cut to Yura the Hare, which she introduces herself later, but in a little bit later in the episode, and she awakens, I guess, and she's like, "Oh, the jewel shard is out there, so we have to go find it." And I have to go find some of the jewel shards. Then we cut to what the villagers are doing, and it turns out that they're possessed, and they're attacked. Yura's basically controlling them with her hair. That I guess she's killed people to get that hair, and she uses that hair to control things, which is really an interesting idea because the show has lots of creativity when it comes to different types of demons. And this is like our first encounter with a one of the many villains you'll see in the show, and she's kind of a memorable villain. We'll see more of her in the next episode because she's just kind of introduced here. One of the few female demons you actually see in the show as well. But anyway, we go back to the bone eating well, or bones eating well, and Kagome is like, "Oh, this is where I came out of." She was scared to go back in because they call it the bone eating well or bones eating well because demons' bones are thrown in there after they die and stuff. Like the flesh may leave, but their bones are still there. So she was kind of creeped out. Just like, I don't know if I should do this. And Yura catches up to her. Basically, she like puts a web, like whole bunch of hair just around Kagome, and Kagome can actually see the hair. So Kaede and Kagome can see the hair that Eurus does, and I think it's because they're priestesses, or in Kagome's case, she's a reincarnation of one. So maybe they don't really say, at least in this episode, why she can see the hair. But Kaede knew Kagome could see the hair. That's what was interesting. She was like, "Yeah, Kagome can see it," even though Kagome wasn't around to tell her. But anyway, she Kagome sees her, and Yura's like, "Well, where's the jewel? Where's the whole jewel?" She takes the shard from Kagome, and she's like, "Where's the whole jewel?" She's like, "Oh, you're the one who cut it. You're the one who basically made it into a bunch of pieces, and then basically tries to kill Kagome. Somehow misses because Kagome goes Yura comes at her like this with the sword in her hand that she got out of nowhere with the sword, and then like almost a matrix kind of cut. Mrs. Kagome cuts a little bit of Kagome's hair, but misses her, and Kagome falls all the way back into the well, which looked kind of painful the way she fell. Like if she that landing couldn't have been comfortable. Um, and that's it for Kagome for the most part. Then we go back to the village, and Inuyasha sees the village girls and stuff, and they're being possessed. And he's like, "Oh, okay, it's time for a fight." Like he's excited to fight them, I guess. Like an idiot, he doesn't notice that they're possessed girls or whatever being used. And Inuyasha eventually he gets trapped, and it doesn't take him too long. He gets trapped by the hair that Yura's controlling. She's controlling the hair from a distant tree, and she's like, I guess from what the way it seems is that she can't actually see Inuyasha or what he's doing, but she can feel him through the hair. So she's a pretty safe distance away from where he is, because when she pulls in the hair after Inuyasha escapes, she can see that, oh, this guy has really nice, beautiful silver hair. So I'm like, okay, so she wasn't actually physically seeing, but I guess she was feeling what was going on, because she knows also when Inuyasha's trapped to the tree and she's gonna literally cut his head off, which is really dark. She was gonna sever his head clean off. She realized, oh, I didn't actually cut him up or cut his head off, and I'm like, okay. And even Kaede, I think, even said like, yeah, you're lucky. If you're a human, you would have been dead in a second. And I was like, I agree, because there are many times, and we'll get late into this later, where Inuyasha should have died, even though he was half demon, but he doesn't die because he's the main character and stuff. But it almost to a ridiculous degree, Inuyasha can survive anything pretty much. He'll get her on. They're not afraid to injure him though, because he's been injured. Speaking of injured, Kagome actually gets cut by Yura earlier on the cheek, and when I was looking at the Inuyasha wiki, they said like, oh, I didn't really notice this watching this, but that she gets cut, but it kind of goes in and out on her drawings, on her in and out about her being cut. So like you might see it in one shot, but you might not see it in another shot. um, let's see. After Yura kind of leaves Inuyasha alone, Kaede tells Inuyasha to go find Kagome. Where's Kagome? Go find her because she can see the hair. And Kaede knows this, I guess. And Kaede knows this somehow. And Inuyasha's like, okay, I guess I had to find Kagome because he didn't really want to, because he doesn't actually like Kagome. Or yet. And speaking of that, he doesn't even call her by Kagome. He calls her stupid and hey, and not even calling her a human yet, which is actually pretty funny. And let's see. And then later, Kagome wakes up, and she wakes up back in her own time, and she's happy as heck to be able to wake up in her own time. Her grandpa and her Soto were like, "Oh, where is she?" And Grandpa seems very skeptical that Kagome went through the well and stuff. And I guess her family wasn't that worried about her, because her grandpa says something like, if you're gonna be gone for 3 days, you should have called. And I'm like, what? She was gone. She wasn't gone because she wanted to be gone. I mean, she fell through. I understand the skepticism of not believing that she fell through a well for real, but like to think that she just left for 3 days, I don't know. That seemed really odd. Like I would think parents would have called the police or the hospital or something uh, to find their kid. I don't know. Maybe they're really They're really lenient. Um, her family's pretty lenient actually, as we learn later. Um, let's see. Inuyasha buries Kaede while he's gonna go look for Kagome, because Kaede got injured pretty badly from the villagers who were controlled by Yura, and she gets buried. And Inuyasha, I don't Inuyasha knows she's not dead, but he buries her to keep her safe, I guess. She's like, "Don't forget me." I'm like, I think Inuyasha would have wanted to forget her, to be honest. Kaede gets like no respect in this episode. Um, and basically, the episode ends with Kagome shampooing her hair, which is symbolic, but it would be odd in any other episode. Like she ends the episode with her shampooing her hair, and it's like, oh, I'm just so glad to be back here and be able to use shampoo and stuff. So that's kind of funny. I like that. I like this episode overall. I like it basically is a setup for the next episode, which is Year of the Hair. Um, it's a setup for also the fact that there are going to be demons who come in and want to take the jewel shards, and they might have a variety of strange powers or strange ways of getting what they want, and Inuyasha and Kagome are going to have to fight them off and work together because they both need each other. Kagome needs Inuyasha basically because of his strength, and Inuyasha needs Kagome because she can see the jewel shard. She can see the unseen, so to speak, a little bit. She can, see the jewel shards. She can since the jewel shards see them, which I think we go into that later. We haven't established yet that she can sense jewel shards, but she can, and that's a spoiler, I suppose, but it's not that big a spoiler. She can also see weird stuff because Inuyasha can't see it, even though he's a half demon. The only explanation I have of that is that they're both, that Kaede and Kagome are both priestesses or reincarnation of priestesses. That's why they can see it, I guess. Um, let's see. I like this episode overall. There's not a lot much about it that happens because it's clearly being set up for the next episode. Um, it's a funny episode too. I like how Yasha's very blunt in this episode too, and he's always blunt, but he has like no respect. He does not hold back at all in this. Kagome and Yasha have fought in this episode again, and that's probably gonna be a recurring theme. That's a recurring theme, not probably gonna be a recurring theme. I don't know. There's not much else to say about it. Tell me what your thoughts are about this episode. I really like it. It's not my favorite. The next episode's better for the next scene, the next episode, which concludes the storyline, is better. So tell me what you think. Did you like this episode? And everything. I don't know. Is there anything else? I don't think so. So have a nice day. And up until the next episode, you're the hair.